Welcome back, guys. Oh boy. This is the last 14 minutes. We're gonna make this a long one today, and I might be a little more angrier than usual in this because I just responded to Bill Maher, and I'm so angry that I'm saltier than a Yinzer when they're beaten by New England for the upteenth time in a row. I'm very, very mad. So, I'm gonna try to get through this as fast as I can, but I can't guarantee it.
Access there?
Oh shit.
Why do you keep putting that shit in the damn video? Calm down, Yinzer. Calm down. It's okay, Mr. Yinzer. It's okay. Just go back from it. That's not something to really rage at yet. Okay? I'm just still pet peeve of mine. You have all this editing skills and I have a lot more bigger budget than I do, and yet you're still leaving in a bunch of editing mistakes, and it just pisses me off. And I don't even know if it's there for humor or not. It's like, just get to the damn point.
MauLer's most recent review of 2018's Predator reboot is incidentally marked with all the same issues we've seen in the Last Jedi review, the Black Panther review, and every other extended critique.
Bullshit. MauLer's review of The Predator is really good, and it is really fucking detailed. Really detailed. It isn't even that hard to review this movie. That film was such an abomination to the Predator franchise that it was worse than the AVP Requiem by far. It is horrifically bad. And him and Decker Shadow, coincidentally enough, also came together. Well, at least Decker had a cameo in that video. But, like, dude, this got people who didn't know who MauLer was to know who MauLer was. Like, that video was really good. It was really detailed, and it detailed just exactly why not only was Shane Black a bad filmmaker in this current state, but how much fucked further the Predator franchise was by this movie. He goes into every conceivable detail about the lore, about the Predator itself, and about all the stupid shit that it does. That film is not good. Are you literally trying to defend the Predator? Get at MauLer. My god.
A tedious summary wavering between superficial digs at things you don't like because it makes you sigh and say, what the fuck?
Because that's what that film is. That film is horrible. They have the fucking Predator chase after a kid because they want his autism genes. I think that justifies a what the fuck. Come on, dude. Are you literally trying to defend the Predator? My god.
And literally just saying things that happen with no real reason to remark on it.
What? The Yinzer's coming back. I'm sorry. What the fuck? What the fucking son of a bitch, you lying piece of fuck! Ah! Calm down, Yinzer. It's okay. It's okay, Yinzer. Oh god. Oh my god. He makes several jabs at how the movie not only doesn't make sense, but how it fucks up the Predator lore, further humiliates the Predator franchise, and that there is no way to fix this. And he also goes into stuff about Shane Black as a filmmaker. Once again, this was a review made mostly for a, comedic thing, once again, but this was still his genuine thoughts on the matter, and his genuine thoughts on the matter are similar to mine and Decker Shadow's, which is, we fucking hate this movie, leave us alone.
And I'm not fucking kidding here, guys. She ends up shooting herself with the tranquilizer in her own fucking foot.
God, really? A strong female character making mistakes? Can't have that in today's Hollywood.
No, it's not that she was making a mistake, it's the damn thing was done for comedic humor. She shot herself in the fucking foot. After hitting a bump. It wasn't her making a mistake, it was the filmmaker making a fucking funny joke. A joke that doesn't land properly when someone's trying to take down the Predator with a fucking track gun. Ugh.
With all that said, I think I'm getting it now. Writing this with Eric, combing through the archives, I get why MauLer and those who follow him have convinced themselves that this is the same as a real, in-depth, nitty-gritty critique.
This is such bad faith argumentation. Like, you literally have said nothing. This is so bad faith. You're just criticizing him for how he does things, but you're not actually showing actual examples of where his argumentations failed. You're just going at his jabs and his rages, and not actually looking at what he's done in his critique so far, and just keeps acting like a freaking smug asshole!
You have an area unexamined in your mind, and that's where the combination of conscious and unconscious impulses that make you feel certain ways about certain things lie. You've built a system, a concrete, coherent system that has made it easier for you to identify what things specifically you don't like. Mostly. Somewhere along the way, you convinced yourself that these things being objectively a part of the text, arguably...
Arguably? Arguably? Give me 6 examples, you ass!
makes your feelings on them also objective. And now you've decided, without a lick of real study into how most of this stuff could or should be measured, that you're simply on another level to other critics.
Another level. The dude looks up to a lot of other YouTubers. Once again, he has not said that he is the best freaking critic out there. Really? Are you kidding me? He's referenced people like Ahoy, like a great YouTube creator. He's referenced people like him as his inspiration. He thinks they're like awesome. They even reference stuff like Every Frame a Painting and all that stuff. And several filmmaking channels. Dude. You a liar.
You've seen the code. Now you can spread the word by giving really long summaries of things and going, this good, this bad, this good, this bad.
Isn't that what people do in a fucking review in the first place, Jack? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're going at him for doing basic stuff you do in a review, only he does it longer. You are such a petty asswipe.
Hell, if you do it enough, it's just like a real analysis.
Because it is an analysis, you fuckwit!
It's like YouTube media critics self-help guidance.
Many have shared that they want a safe version of my video for their children to understand and learn from, which I am more than happy to provide in this instance.
Are you kidding me? You're gonna use that? People love watching Star Wars, especially with their kids. I know, because I was one of those damn kids growing up. And yes, if they want to talk about Star Wars a lot, and they think The Last Jedi is bad, they want to help their kids understand, MauLer's review is a good way to start. And they don't want to hear them listen to the cursing because they're too young for that, then that's what he did with his critique. Like, is that so bad? Jesus. Also, I'm thinking right here, because this is speculation, but I think he's implying right here that he's helping people brainwash their kids. If that's true, ugh.
Me, Wolf, and Rags, and many, many other people have what you could call a talent, a gift, whatever, to be able to discern media down to its composing parts. Well, where someone sees a scene, we might see a script instead. We're like, oh, look at the components moving.
And along
Yeah, and that's like what a lot of people do. He's not saying that it's just those three. A lot of people have that gift. They have that ability to properly spell out their thoughts on everything and be able to do it in a mildly cohesive manner. Once again, you're making him seem like he's an egotistical prick, but even in that clip, there is nothing egotistical there. He is talking about other people other than himself. Wow!
the way, you've forgotten that perspectives are perspectives, even if they're based on the same objective thing.
Everyone has a perspective, you idiot. Everyone has a goddamn perspective.
It's the kind of mindset that leads you to ignoring that some people might just think visuals are an important part of a Star Wars movie, and
He is not saying that visuals aren't an important part of a Star Wars movie. Jesus. He's saying, in the long run, it's not going to matter as much to the writing because that's ultimately what people come in for a story is writing. Even if it is in a movie. Or a video game. They keep coming back because of the writing. I still play Mass Effect 2 a lot, despite the fact that I think its story and gameplay is rather piss poor. But I come back because of the good writing and returns of the characters. That's why people keep coming back to the original trilogy. And In some cases, the prequel trilogy. Almost no one's doing that for the sequels.
That's no less credible than you not liking it when Luke drinks the milk.
Why?
Not just him who doesn't like it. Almost everyone doesn't like it. Because he's not getting up off his ass. He's just going around, fucking off on his island, and drinking freaking green titty milk. To humiliate his character. Jack. To humiliate him.
The kind of mindset that leads you to blindly say, that's objectively a 5 or a 6, without really thinking about what that even means.
What? What? That's his freaking standard! What do you mean he doesn't? Oh! Fucking... My god, tomorrow my throat is going to be destroyed. What the fuck do you mean he does not consider what the hell objectively a 5 or a 6 means? Are you fucking serious? So you're making him look malicious, but you're also making him look stupid, but you're also making him look like an asshole. Pick one and stick with it!
I'm not here as someone who's never done any of the things I think MauLer's doing.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like you because you don't do it right, and you do everything with a political lens at first.
In fact, my two most popular videos on Sky High and Alice in Wonderland are both super rambly with way too much summary fluff and little distinction between a personal nitpick and a legitimate argument.
So you're basically degrading your own work now to make MauLer look bad. That's kind of gross.
But these are issues I want to recognize and grow from, and seeing your most recent review fall into the exact same holes, I felt a need to point out these methodological problems to you and the fans.
What? Same holes? Look, it's not like I've watched your reviews. I'm not going to say definitively that they're the same in any way, but yours is much shorter. MauLer has only done one full-on critique of a movie. And once again, his rages, mostly for humor. Still tries to be objective as he can, but it's mostly done for humor. And not only that, most of his discussions and videos are on the topic of gaming. And you not even have discussed one of them in this at all. So you're leaving out a pretty large portion of MauLer's portfolio.
Many of whom still confuse your CinemaSins format for deeper critique.
Fuck you.
There is something deeper here, something not truly explored, and it ties together all these things talked about so far. But hey, maybe it'll all become clear very, very soon.
Oh, now you want to talk about a fucking critique. I forgot that came up. Oh, fucking, I'm traumatized. And I can't freaking put a picture over it like they did in that EFAP, so I have to stare at it. End me now.
Is frequently accused of believing his opinions are objective.
What? What? You can have an opinion, but if it's set in an objective sense, then yes, technically, your opinion is objective. Can you make a better point?
And this isn't actually quite true. He actually released a video recently that puts a lot of it to rest. So the problem is that his real opinions are equally bullshit.
Oh my god.
The word opinion is thrown around far more than references to the topic being discussed. The purpose behind it in this case is to champion the idea that there is no such thing as good or bad content.
Yes, that is exactly why he is talking about the word opinion a lot in that first part of this Force Awakens critique. It's because people tend to throw around, but I like this movie, but it's just my opinion that this movie's good. And this is also a lot done in regard to stuff like Star Wars, because like, I like this, but it's my opinion. Alright, and I think it's the best thing ever, but it's just my opinion. And I think your movies suck, but that's just my opinion. That's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about that inconsistency. Is if you say a movie's good, What's your criteria for it being good? And if it's a bad movie, and you say you like it, but you said, no, but it's great, but you keep saying, but it's just my opinion, then it doesn't really do anything to help your argument. Now, you can say you could like a bad movie all you want. That's fine. I'm not saying that you can't like a bad movie and that destroys your argument, right? People like bad movies all the time. MauLer himself likes Batman and fucking Robin. Okay? But this is the shit he's talking about.
That everyone is simply sharing their perspective. You know, the mentality that everyone gets a medal no matter what. Participation is now enough to celebrate quality.
Yes, and to quote ER, we're living in an era of mediocrity. Okay? You have stuff like The Legend of Korra and the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And they're being goes like, well, it's not as bad as the prequels, or it's not as bad as it could have been. It's pretty good, but it's like, no, you're supposed to be striving to make things better. And we're not. We're striving to make shallow, recycled garbage. And that's really hurting filmmaking right now, because people don't want that. They want actual new things. They want new ideas. They want new presentation. They want a lot of new things, and we're not doing that. We're not doing that at all.
Everybody who was in the race now gets a first place medal.
See, MauLer simply creates a distinction between two types of statements that you can make about a piece of art. There's a subjective and objective. A subjective statement would be that you thought it looked really cool, it had nice themes, it made you feel feelings, etc.
Yes.
While an objective statement is provable. It is
Yes.
based off the stuff that you're looking at, indisputable facts.
Yes.
It had dozens of plot holes.
Yes.
The character writing was inconsistent.
Yes.
All that jazz. The problem here is that supporting your assessments of quality with examples from the work itself doesn't actually make it objective.
What?
It just makes it well-founded.
Well, what? That does make it objective, because it's a measurable element of the fucking film. You fucking idiot. Also, cover your goddamn nipples.
Let's say that you point out that this knife disappears mid-swipe. Where did it go? And you're right. You're absolutely right. That knife it's gone. It was there and now it's gone. Well done. You're very observant. But if we were using the word correctly, the objective statement would be that the knife is missing.
No. The knife does disappear. It's there and then it disappears. And if that knife was there, Ray realistically would have died. The knife did disappear. They edited it out. That's what happened. That's one of the reasons why that fight is actually so piss poor in its choreography, because the choreography is shit. Like, Ray's able to take on 3 guys at once with one freaking kick of her foot. Able to take on 3 different guys at once trying to hit her lightsaber, and they're all going for a lightsaber and not, a body part. And nobody's using force powers at all in this, despite the fact that Rey and Kylo are supposed to be really powerful force users. That fight is shit, objectively, and it's measurable. And there's even people who are fight choreographers who are like, wow, this shit is horrible.
You haven't actually said whether the film is good or bad or well-made or poorly made until you can say why this knife trick made the film worse.
Because it's another problem stacked upon another problem in the film. Like, say The Last Jedi was amazing, that mistake was still in there, that wouldn't have mattered as much. But because the film was such a poor quality overall, that's just another thing in there. And now because the film is so bad, that is put on a higher pedestal of something being bad, because it was a deus ex machina and the filmmaker saving someone without actually trying to earn it. That's why.
Which is subjective.
No, it's not.
This conflation leads to MauLer routinely implying that if you disagree with his qualitative assessment of a film, then you are denying the facts that he used to come to his conclusions.
No, he's saying that in regards to people who dismiss the flaws of The Last Jedi because they think that the themes are the thing that should carry a movie first, despite the fact that in order to have a cohesive story, you have to have everything make sense. A lot of people get invested in stories because everything makes sense. When something doesn't make sense, it makes their immersion go away. And the suspension of disbelief, it dies. The more you lose that, the more your film has suffered in quality. That's a measurable aspect to a film.
Which could not be further from the truth. In fact, 2 people can completely agree on what's in a film and what's shown, and disagree on its quality.
Yes, and as he says in that critique, this is why people with two objective assessments can still argue.
In short, your standards for objective assessment are not separate from your subjective opinions.
You can have a subjective opinion, but when it's supported by an objective, measurable thing in the work, then that makes your opinion objective. That is the thing. You're not making any sense.
They're just more opinions. So, no, MauLer doesn't think his opinions are objective. He just thinks his opinions are objective. Bye, MauLer. Hope you have a good day.
I hope you have a good day as you strangle Georgie. Not only that, you keep freaking insulting him. It's like, have a good day. No. I wouldn't accept that.
What the fuck?
This new Force Awakens
Bobby Bob.
video, as it goes, has all the qualities we have spoken about here and more. Despite the fact that the man has now spoken for an accumulated 30 plus hours about how much he dislikes the Star Wars films, if you account for his podcast, we are presented with a 3-hour-long critique, which... I mean, the first hour is just MauLer talking about Twitter arguments he had.
Look, MauLer actually said that he probably shouldn't have put that part in the video and that he should have made it separate, alright? Because people said, look, we just want to get to the actual critique, alright? The only reason he put that there, though, in the thing, was because he was trying to discuss just all the shit around objectivity and Star Wars and how people were dismissing arguments about it based solely on the fact that they like the movie, but it's for superficial reasons and not for actually digesting what's going on in the film. Or they're doing it because, oh, their politics agree with me, even though it makes no fucking sense. Come on, dude.
Simply don't agree with your approach to video game criticism. It's a little immature to write as if you've achieved objectivity and I'm out to make you look crazy for it. And I'd recommend, like, chilling out.
Seeing it come out just 2 days after Racervic's Mass Effect Andromeda overview, a full rundown of the game's development cycle, as well as provide key insights into aspects of the game which may have contributed to it being so unpalatable to many players, and why, in just under an hour, it's certainly an unfortunate contrast. When you
do realize that Reykjavik's style is once again very different from MauLer's. Not only that, he's talked about stuff about the production cycle before, but even then, with Star Wars' production cycle, there's a lot of conflicting information. So it's not like he can actually go in depth on The Force Awakens at this point, even though he can do something with it later. Which is probably something he's going to do. And he does reference a lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes anyway that we know that has happened. So your argument's bullshit.
get an hour and a half into this critique and almost nothing has actually been said about Star Wars The Force Awakens, you know there might be a problem.
That's a very small part, though, when he's done with it. That's going to be a very small part of it. He wanted that thing to be over 12 hours. It might be over 21 at this point. It's going to be a very small part.
Don't worry though, this is only the intro, so it doesn't matter that we spend a whopping hour with MauLer just kind of ranting about disagreements he had about people thinking he's too pushy with his personal opinions on movies.
Says the one who does that same thing he accuses MauLer of doing, but in a much worse way.
Regardless of how they feel, regardless of how Mark feels, regardless of how the world feels, I feel like it was a terrible decision from a man who had a fan story to tell, and no one could convince him of anything different because he had the final word on the script.
I'm incidentally going to ignore the argument that I can't make these points because it's only part one of a series. MauLer himself argues that doing so is like sending back the whole meal because you don't like the potatoes. And this is apt only in that looking at the way the cook serves up one portion is a good indicator of how they'll serve the rest. Will I turn away the whole meal? Probably not. I like to give things chances. That's why aside from finishing the Dark Souls 2 critique, I've made my way through most of what MauLer has made.
Then why haven't you talked about it yet?
Only skipping breakdowns here where I feel like I'd just be repeating myself.
And so the guy says, well, your name shall be Han Solo.
That is not an example of him saying unnecessary exposition is bad. That's him saying that is such a stupid fucking way to name a character Han Solo. It's also a thing that ruins some of the mysticism of Han Solo, is we didn't really need to know a bunch about his past, and that's why people really don't like Solo to begin with, is that they don't think that that film was needed. And yet they made it anyway. But that's not the point he's making, asshole. He's saying that that is such a stupid way to give him a name. Like, really?
You heard it right, folks. Han's name comes from some random officer deciding it sounded neat. We didn't even need an origin scene for his fucking name. Also, I find it amusing that you're an origin film, but you couldn't be fucked to explain how Han Solo can speak Wookiee in the first place.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. It doesn't have a consistent through line with the logic of the writing. That's what he's talking about. He's saying this stuff doesn't make any fucking sense, you idiot. And this is coming from the same guy who said that Sky High is fascist.
Having done so, I'm remarkably unsurprised that MauLer still doesn't get why some people disagree with his methodology in particular.
No, he knows why. You just keep making yourselves look worse by acting like assholes about it, though.
Trying to spot contradictions in other people speaking authoritatively about the objective quality of media, because, as Eric points out, MauLer confuses a well-founded argument for an objective one.
The well-founded argument, if it is proven to be true, is objective. Can you stop this shit?
When his critics put out videos saying subjectivity is implied...
Subjectivity is not implied, alright? That video by Joseph Anderson and his fucking bullshit video that came before that was an absolute load of ass. He said shit that was blatantly false, and he tried to spin it around by saying that, oh, subjectivity is implied. It's like, you're supposed to know on your own that I'm saying something different than what I'm actually trying to say.
They're, well, saying that the subjectivity of their views are implied.
No, it's not!
They still make room for disagreements, where MauLer will dedicate hours every week to mocking those who disagree with him and front-loading his Frankenstein monster of a critique overview, picking fights with people.
Picking fights with people. Right! Like he picked a fight with H-Bomber Guy, who, you know, he was responding to him because he thought H-Bomber Guy made a really bad video. That's what they do on EFAP, is they respond to bad videos. Videos that most people think are bad. It's not him going after people to start Twitter feuds. It's him responding to videos that are bad. And listen, he has gained friends because of what he's done. JXE ring a bell? Cry more? Are you kidding me? Like, dude. What the fuck?
But don't worry, this is only part 1 of this 6-part, 15-hour film review.
What are stories but mystery boxes?
Right, yeah, we're gonna tackle that, but not for about 12 hours.
And again, none of this gives any greater depth to MauLer's arguments. He'll go on a tangent about the Terminator films as an example of how lore contradictions can lead to a franchise falling apart.
Yes.
Ignoring the fact that the apparently contradictory Terminator 2 is what most people preferred anyway.
So what? He says that could still hurt people's enjoyment of it, and it's because of some of the stuff that they did do in Terminator 2 that leads to the horrible stuff that they do in the later films. That is what he's talking about. I'm one of those few people who prefer Terminator 1, because not only is it handled a bit better in terms of its logic, but it's handled a lot more like a horror film, and an action film. It's an action horror film basically, and they do a lot of good stuff in there with the filmmaking techniques. That's why I really like the first one. Terminator 2, I like it a lot, but it should have ended there. There should have been no more Terminators. If anything was going to be made about it, it would have to be done with the future war. That'd be it. That'd be it. That's all I want it to be done with, because we've already sapped the present day stuff dry. Alright? But this is why he's talking about Terminator, because what happened in Terminator 2 with the retcons led to the bad stuff that happened in T3, Salvation, Genesis, and Dark Fate. All of those films are either wildly hated or mixed at best.
Ignoring the fact that the later entries had myriad aspects people disliked, which had nothing to do with breaking canon.
What? Yes, it did! Yes, it did. All of those things in the movies broke canon. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me right now? Mm. Like, I'm gonna go with T1. Kyle Reese said that John Connor helped him escape, or at least that was implied. John Connor helped Kyle Reese escape. That didn't happen. It didn't really, at least not in the way that he said it. It was John Connor helped Kyle Reese escape from a thing, but it's only during a big battle. It wasn't, oh, they busted into a prison and busted all the humans out from the Terminators. That's not what they did. Okay? That's relatively small, but there's a lot of big shit. They fuck up the time travel. A lot. They also add in a bunch of new things that really doesn't help the canon all that much, and really just makes the films come off as worse.
It's all just in the mix, and each individual point is lost in this murk of objective critique.
Can you shut
Why
up?
do stormtroopers have laser versions of medieval weaponry available?
I don't know.
Because yes, that's dumb, Jack. Why? You're in a futuristic society where they haven't used that stuff ever, and even then, when people are using archaic weaponry because they're centuries-old institutions and not gigantic fucking armies. That's why the Jedi still use freaking lightsabers, and they aren't using guns all willy-nilly. That's why they use the Force. That's why most people, when they're in the freaking Galactic Army, like they have shown in the freaking prequels and the OT, and the sequels even, that most people are just normal fucking Joes with access to the modern technology that's mirrored to our own. Why do you think all the fucking guns are designed after World War II weapons, you fucking idiot retard?
Know how MauLer will take this video, whether it might spark introspection as to whether he feels he's most effectively putting his points across with this increasingly bloated format.
It would have been better if you actually gave him a fucking hint of... No. Let me try that again. It would have been better if you were dealing with his arguments fairly, but instead you took him at all bad faith bullshit. You're an asshole, and this video confirmed it. We all watched that video together on EFAP. We saw how bad your arguments were then, and they're still bad now. And once again, it's not that MauLer isn't up for being critiqued. He says that's perfectly fine. Just be fair and cogent and consistent, and don't be a fucking dickhead about it, like you are being, Jack and Patricia.
Or if he'll double down, insist I'm trying to police him by
You are.
offering my own perspective. MauLer has not had a great history with those he disagrees with, even going back to his early work picking fights with Mark Brown for criticizing Dead Space.
So? People pick fights with people all the time because they keep criticizing shit. And who knows? Mark Brown could have said something really stupid about Dead Space. I don't know. Why don't you actually freaking show us what he said?
He's called opposing critics massive faggots, then
So? That's a joke! That is a freaking joke. No, keep going.
taken back his apology when it doesn't come with full forgiveness.
No. He said he regretted it. He apologized. But then Joseph Anderson said, I don't want to talk to you anymore, and act like a fucking asshole about it. And then MauLer got a little angry, understandably so, and said, fuck it. You want to be an asshole? I'll be an asshole too. Not the best way to handle something, but that's what happened.
Even Eric has had a full hour of a live stream dedicated to mocking his physical appearance and calling him an autistic retard for disagreeing with one of his friends.
I call myself an autistic retard, number one. Number two, I'd rather have my physical appearance mocked than have not only my views, but everything I do strawmanned and deconstructed all to hell to make me look bad. I think that's a lot worse to do. Not only is it a lot worse to do, it is arguably the worst thing you can do to a person other than outright straight murder, because people are getting put into prison for nothing right now. People will get accused of sexual assault and they can have their entire lives ruined. But, oh, somebody said mean things about me on the internet. They said I look like an ugly chisel. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
So, who knows? More than likely, he'll shrug this off because I didn't provide the full context of his work, as he did with Eric's last.
What?
Desperately trying to ignore that the first hour of his new video is a highlight reel of the exact tactics he calls disingenuous in others, up to and including attacking people's content without playing one piece of audio from said content.
He shows tweets, he shows clips, and he's provided links. He has Discord, he has Twitter. Just ask him.
Maybe I'm wrong. I guess my aim is more on those who might be led to look at the popularity of MauLer's content and say, huh, well, I guess that means I don't even need to consider how I'm discussing a work. I can
What?
just vomit out my 20-hour-long Space Jam review and then be shocked to discover people often miss large swathes of what I'm saying when I'm told I'm contradicting myself, when critics misunderstand what I'm getting at.
Oh my goodness Christ. He releases his shit in parts, you ass. And he even has a thing where he'll go over stuff that he is wrong about, like he did at the end of his TLJ critique, where he went for a full I'll not remember, like 30 minutes to an hour, where he went over the stuff that he missed or that he was wrong about. I think that's a fair thing to do.
I implore you to reconsider. This isn't a demand, you can do as you wish.
No, it's no, it is a demand. You're demanding him to kowtow to your demands.
But few people engage with material in this way, and it isn't just because they haven't thought about it. I don't serve you pizza the size of a dinner table and then insult you for not appreciating the 19th slice.
What? What? The fuck kind of a... That is such a non-fucking sequitur. Shut up. God damn.
And I don't throw out the benefits of clarity and concision in making a point. Does every video need to be 10 minutes long? Absolutely not, and that's why I front-loaded this video with creators who do produce insightful long content that I highly recommend checking out.
You did miss a 7-hour review of a Pokemon game. Just saying.
Honestly, it's up to you, and maybe you'll be the first person to do a day-long review of a fantasy family film.
Fantasy family film. Fantasy family film and people are burnt to death and you can see bones and flesh. Fantasy film with slave kids. Fantasy film with giant fucking conflicts that span the galaxy. Oh fuck. Oh my god. Oh god. The franchise that has a guy kill kids in it. Oh fuck. Oh god, that cracked me up. That cracked me up. I feel a little better. Thankfully my Yinzer hasn't come out yet. Well, not for a little bit.
Without sacrificing the depth or clarity of your arguments. I don't believe MauLer and those who emulate him do. I think instead what we're seeing is a group of people that just generally agree about movies.
A lot of people generally agree about movies. It's when we get to the sacred cows, as MauLer puts it, that people tend to start getting into shit slings. Most people would generally agree, Alien's a great movie. Aliens is a good movie. Most people generally agree that the original trilogy is great. Most people tend to agree that Blade Runner is awesome. Most people tend to agree that what's a good The Matrix is a really good movie, but the trilogy is shit. Like, people mostly tend to agree on these things. But once again, it's these sacred cows that people don't want criticized, and they'll do the most inane bullshit, like what Just Right does, to defend it, like what he did with The Legend of Korra, where he said it was basically the themes that kept the show up and not the character writing and everything, but he still said he likes the show because of what it did with its themes. And that's it.
have the same nitpicks, and through enough circle jerking, have essentially decided that they are in a special club where only they know what makes things objectively good or bad.
One, they don't say that they're the only ones that know whether or not a film is objectively good or bad. And two, you said you wanted to use this to start a discussion, and yet you say that MauLer runs a circle jerk. Fuck you.
Who can ignore the fundamental flimsy subjectivity of their argumentation because, well, they agree with each other, and that gives them the right to push their evaluation of a work as a
But that's the thing. Are they discussing it? Are you gonna give examples? Oh wait, you're not, because you want to straw man and cherry pick everything all to hell.
notch above the rest, to in fact seek out those who disagree with that, to act like basic middle school bullies because they've decided they're right.
Middle school bullies. Middle school bullies. Middle school bullies. You're gonna call them that when, you're the one trying to slander them. I do not give a shit. You should not be giving a shit whether or not people are insulting how you look. Your look is something that you cannot control except through things like makeup or plastic surgeries. What you should be caring for is whether or not your points are being fairly represented, or whether or not someone's trying to make you look bad based on a couple things that they take out of context, like you love to do.
The length of the critique doesn't wind up deepening any understanding of the text, only to obfuscate the lack thereof.
Yeah, this is it. This is him saying lawman bad. This is what he said that he wasn't saying, but he is actually saying it right here and now, that because he makes things so long, he makes his stuff bad by proxy. That is what you are doing, Jack. Stop saying you aren't, because that's exactly what you're doing. Jesus.
But hey, that's just my opinion,
Don't hide behind it.
and you're free to agree or disagree in the comments below.
What a fucking horrifically bad video. Okay. I'm just... Oh, thank God. The evil has been defeated. I don't have to respond to this anymore. Okay, now I was gonna do this little epilogue to this response by writing a script for it, but I decided, you know what? I'll just detail this whole experience with this video series here. This was extremely exhausting to not only listen to, but to formulate responses to. Jack really, I think, he not only did what he accused MauLer of doing in this video, but he did not give any indication that anything that MauLer did was any good or anything like that. He's like saying, well, he's got some good stuff here. He's not treating him fairly. He's not giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's making his points look worse without any consideration for the stuff that's actually going on. And his gotchas just make him look like an asshole. And Patricia, yes, he had his bad moments. He had a lot of bad moments, but at least he tried. Or she, damn it. Patricia tried to be a good judge of things. Despite the fact that, Patricia's being an asshole on Twitter right now, and hell, being assholes to my friends. And I'm sick of it. And then Jack Saint, if he didn't block MauLer last week, I think that there would still be a chance for him to really redeem himself on this. But no. He decided, because he wanted to whinge out at MauLer again for the upteenth time this year already, that despite the fact that MauLer said, look, you've got a good heart, but you're being an asshole, he wanted to shut the echo chamber on. And that's really cowardly. His reputation is forever tattered by what he did in this video, and the case is open and shut. The dude does not care about discussion. He just keeps whining like a little bitch when someone lightly disagrees with him. And he just keeps pissing me off with his refusal to accept his mistakes and learn from them. He doesn't want to. MauLer's out there on EFAT having debates with people about stuff. He's had discussions with people in regards to Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's had discussions with people he disagrees with on freaking Star Wars: The Last Jedi and a bunch of other things about Doom Eternal. He's had a lot of debates with people he vehemently has disagreed with before. Him and Wolf had a discussion with Just Right when Wolf was still here. Right? So don't tell me that MauLer is the one trying to make everything feel all closed-minded when you're the one doing that exact thing when you haven't even jumped on a video together. You wanted to get a discussion with MauLer, but the way you did it was you formulated a video response that made everything he did look worse than it actually was, and you strawmanned and cherry-picked his points, and lied about him. And yet you still think that you're the victim whenever somebody rages out at you for acting like an asshole? It's pathetic. It's absolutely fucking pathetic, and I cannot stand it. Like, if he just did a few things differently, that video wouldn't have been nearly as painful to watch as it was. But the way he, and in some cases Patricia did as well, they just didn't really do much to really help themselves. This video has aged so much worse than I thought. And I just really don't want to have to experience it again. And honestly, I'd love to have a discussion with Jack and Patricia about this video. I would love to have a discussion. I'd love to have my notes here right by my side with pen and paper. Now go through them with these arguments that they said, have the quotes ready, have footage ready, and have stuff about movies that we're discussing. Something along that line. But he's not doing it. He's not going to. He's never going to. And it's really going to hurt him on the long run. Alright, considering most people on the internet now know him for the guy who keeps freaking making up shit online and acting like a misleading asshole about certain events, then he's, I don't think he's ever going to have any positive reception again. At least not one that from the fan base that he already has. Like normal people. People who don't normally watch his content. They're going to look at him and they're like, oh, this is the guy who wanted to whine about a bunch of guys who were just doing what normal content creators do and making everything they do seem so much worse than it actually is, even though it's not really bad really much at all. And honestly, I can't take him seriously on anything. And with what he did when he blocked MauLer, you close the door to discussion. You can't win. No matter what you do after this, until you unblock MauLer, you don't have a leg to stand on. You're the one who shut the door to discussion. You shut the door to intellectual honesty. And no one's going to take you really seriously after that. And that's really pathetic of you to do. So, Jack, if you are listening to this, or responding to this on your live stream that you do on your live channel, say, look, I don't know if you're a bad person or not. I don't know. I would like to know, but with how you conduct yourselves online, and how you interact with people who disagree with you, I don't know how you conduct yourself in real life with other people who are living around you. And that's the thing that scares me the most, is you probably do this in real life too. And it's just unfortunate. I mean, I'd love to have discussions with people I disagree with, but when you act like that, you deserve nothing of the sort. I don't give a damn if you insult me on my looks or my opinions. Just don't make my opinions and my thoughts on things look like something they're not. And that's what you did with MauLer. That's what you did with Wolf. That's what Patricia's done with Rags and Literature Devil. You have no leg to stand on, and until you do some soul searching to try to figure out something to keep this going in a better way, then I can't help you. I can't come to your side for anything. You screwed up, and you have to live with that consequence. No one's really going to take you seriously anymore outside of your fan base now. If you want to live in an echo chamber, go ahead. You have the freedom to do that. But just know that people aren't going to take you seriously because of it. So, bye.